Awesome. And joining us now on the Meredith McKellar Enterprises guest line is Nick Carparelli of Bowl Season. Good morning, Nick. Well, afternoon, rather. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Great. Well, Nick, tell us about Bowl Season. I know this is kind of like a new brand that kind of popped up here a few years ago or something. Follow it on Instagram. Good stuff. I'm a bowl game fan and all that, but just kind of tell us overall kind of what Bowl Season is all about and what you guys do and all that good stuff.
Yeah, there's really two parts to Bowl Season. There's the public-facing side, and then there's the internal organization. So, I mean, Bowl Season, as we've known it for a long time, is that great 3-week time of year in mid-December to late January where we can watch 43 bowl games and, turn on the TV on a Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's. Don't even know what bowl game we're going to find. We just know we're going to find one. It's going to be, a great matchup and, occupies a very prominent place on the American sports calendar, and people look forward to it. In terms of our organization, we help to market and promote Bowl Season and the bowl system collectively. Each of the 43 bowl games has done a great job for a long time building their own brand. But the group came together 2 or 3 years ago and said, you know what, we need to pull together and promote ourselves as an entity, much like leagues do in college and professional. It's March Madness. It's not identical, but it's a time of year and it's a brand in and of itself. And we didn't outsmart ourselves. People have called that time of year Bowl Season for a long time, so we adopted that moniker, and here we are.
There's a lot of talk about with the expanded playoff coming and all of that, bowls are maybe on their way out. You got players opting out. But, I have some friends that work for ESPN that kind of keep up with all this stuff. The TV ratings are still, compared to college basketball that time of year, the bowl ratings are off the charts. I'm kind of the opinion that's a false narrative. I think bowls are going to continue to move forward and be a part of this game. And I think it would be sad if that wasn't the case. Talk about kind of the health of the bowl games and kind of the where it fits in this ever-changing world of college football with expanded playoff and all that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. First of all, the playoff is awesome. I'm a college football fan like everybody else. And college football needs a great mechanism to crown a national champion. But at the same time, even if it goes to 12 teams as they've planned, I don't know if it could ever get much bigger than that, asking these kids to play 4 extra games before they entered the draft. I mean, I think there's going to be some problems with that, to be honest with you. But there's 130 FBS institutions. None of them are created equally. To have a postseason system with only 12 opportunities, there'd be a lot of people not doing their job, and bowl games have been giving programs that are trying to rebuild, programs that are trying to rise and build, some of the newer programs we're seeing, and everything in between. When these teams and these student athletes have successful seasons, they need to be rewarded for that. And the bowl season provides that. Every other sport in college athletics, we're in basketball season now. You're going to see teams going to the Maui Classic and the Bahamas and all these other things. They go on foreign tours in the summer. Football teams can't do any of that. So, bowl season is kind of that type of event for these student athletes. It's also a reward for a successful season. It affords them extra practice time, extra exposure, helps them build the program. So yes, the college football playoff is one thing, but we have to stop with the narrative that if a bowl game doesn't factor into the national championship picture, that it's not meaningful, because it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, you look at South Carolina last year, the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl, and I think, South Carolina won the game and did it pretty well. They played a team that is an old rival of theirs in North Carolina, and it was in Charlotte. But, I also think that the Mayonnaise Bowl people did as good a job as anybody at promoting their game. I mean, my goodness, their Twitter account's great and all that. And so it was meaningful for them. I think it was meaningful for Arkansas to win the Outback Bowl last year. I think, some of the teams that are in Group of 5 that get a shot at Power 5 teams, like a Houston beating an Auburn last year, it was big for those schools. So I'm right there with you on that. Well, South Carolina fans, they got bowl eligible, and a lot of talk about the Gator Bowl, maybe the Las Vegas Bowl. I know you don't know where they're going, but what do you think in terms of those bowl games tied to the SEC? Because I know the SEC, ESPN, everybody has a lot of say in where they're assigned. But what does a team really have to do, in your opinion, to get to the Gator Bowl? I mean, is it what are the factors that you see behind the scenes in terms of bowl selection?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of football left to be played. 3 more games. South Carolina's 6-3. Regardless of where you aspire to go in your bowl lineup, there's a big difference between 9-3 and 6-6, right? In terms of where you go to a bowl game. So, South Carolina has to keep taking care of their business, which they know. The SEC's bowl lineup is interesting. After the CFP and the New Year's Six, the Citrus Bowl gets to select next. And after that, they have a pool of bowl games: Gator, Las Vegas, Liberty, Music City, the old Outback, which is now the ReliaQuest Bowl in Tampa, and then the Texas Bowl. SEC has the luxury of having that group of 6 bowl games that are very similar in terms of the quality of the opponent, the stature of the game, the payout they get. So there's really no need to slot them 3 through 8. There's a lot of common sense that at least they try to use common sense. Don't send somebody to a bowl game that they've been to last year or recently. Don't have repeat matchups. But it's a big puzzle. The SEC does it as well as anybody. Commissioner Sankey and Mark Womack's a great friend of mine. They'll sit down with their member institutions when the final standings are done. They'll sit down with their bowl partners and they'll kind of piece it together and see if they can use some common sense. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes it's an unsolvable puzzle, and you end up having a team go somewhere 2 times in a row. One of the advantages with the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Las Vegas Bowl partnership is it's every other year. So that's, Duke's isn't even in the lineup this year. So that there's no chance they can go to the same place 2 years in a row. But a lot of factors involved, a lot of football left to be played. I do know South Carolina is a great option from a fan base standpoint. And obviously they got a good team this year. So any bowl would be lucky to have them.
Las Vegas Bowl, a lot of people don't realize that because the first year of this new deal was during the pandemic. I don't think there was a Las Vegas Bowl. Kind of talk about the SEC getting involved. You don't see very many SEC Pac-12 matchups these days. There's some scheduled in the future. But getting out there and kind of having your brand in a West Coast market, and especially a great destination like Las Vegas, kind of speak to how that came about and, what the thought process was to kind of get the league, kind of reaching beyond its footprint to send a team out for a game.
Yep, that's a great question. So the SEC historically has kept their bowl opportunities within their, somewhat within their footprint. Obviously, with the exception of, national championship games and things where the destinations are set. The Las Vegas Bowl was a little bit of an experiment on their part. And as we talked about, they weren't all in. It's only two of the 4 years. The other 2 years is in Charlotte. So I think their athletic directors, their coaches said, let's experiment with this a little bit. Conferences are becoming more national in nature. Some of them very much so. The SEC is at least contiguous still. There are some conferences that have big gaps of land in between member institutions, but. I think that's an interesting experiment. How well will SEC fans travel to Las Vegas? It's certainly a fun place to go. If you're going to experiment with a bowl game outside of your footprint, Las Vegas is probably a pretty good place to try.
Yeah, Southwest Airlines, just about every airline, any major airport in the South, even the minor ones, you can get a flight out there pretty easily. And, there'll be some people that take their RVs out there. I promise you, like Cousin Eddie style for vacation. But, so that's really good. Well, Nick, we really appreciate you joining us. That's one of those things where when you look at the expanded playoff and all that, I actually look at it and see there's going to be more bowls involved on a yearly basis now. Am I correct in saying that? You'll have all 6 of the New Year's Six hosting some sort of round every year, correct?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. The more will be involved for sure. I'm not sure if the CFP is determined if it's going to be those 6, involved in all the games every year, if there's going to be some new bowls coming in to have a bite at that. But no doubt, I mean, currently the semifinals are held in 2 games, 2 bowl games that rotate, and then the championship game is a standalone. It's going to be a similar, formula, but with the quarterfinal round, there's going to need to be 4 other bowl games in a given year that are involved in the playoffs. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. All right. Oh, well, Nick, we'll talk to you closer to probably closer to bowl selection and all that. Appreciate you joining us, and best of luck. I think you guys do great work with bowl season. Enjoy following all your stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Mm-hmm. Nick Carparelli from bowl season. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. 76 Gamecock says, not a fan of Birmingham. Me neither. I don't know why they have a bowl in Birmingham, to be honest.